Okay, our next question comes from David. David, please go ahead.
David, I got one on you.
Yeah, hey Ron. Yeah, I have two. Which one do you have there?
I don't know. I am looking. Are you David Milano?
That's me.
Okay. I have the one on Hartman.
On Hartman, okay. Yeah, and this one he's willing to consider owner financing with 15% down.
All right. Well, let's give everybody the numbers. His asking is $469, and he wants $469, and you give me no idea what it's worth. What is it?
That I can't figure out, and that's where my question comes from. I'm getting a lot of these properties in kind of like the mountain areas of Southern California, and you kind of have these weird ranges up there. And so what I did is I tried, even getting comps is difficult, but even on the side of getting a buyer, I've tried putting some mock listings on Craigslist to see if I can get any interest in those areas, and I'm not getting much interest. What do you suggest for remote areas like that?
Well, that's kind of hard to say because I don't know what your mock ad looks like, or whether I can tell it's a mock ad or not. But if you use the unique selling propositions, which would either lease purchase or owner financing, and the words no bank qualifying, you should get some response. I mean, after all, he lives there, so there's got to be a lot of other people live there as well. But in this case, he wants a good-sized down payment, so this is an axe deal anyway. And if it's an axe deal, David, you're not at risk. You've got nothing to lose. But you still need to know come on, there's got to be a Zestimate on Zillow.
It says the estimate's $275.
Well, then I think my conversation with him would be, listen, I can't find any comps to come any close. Can you help me? And let him provide you with the comps.
Okay.
And frankly, I'd do that before I get very far into the deal anyway, even if it's an axe deal. In case, for all of you that are listening, an axe deal means that I'm simply going to sign it up and go find the tenant buyer to put in it before we do anything, and the seller's fully aware that that's my intent, and that I will not close until I find that buyer. But you got a 3,600 square foot, 4-bedroom, 3-bath house here. I'm having a hard time believing you can't put that out there on terms and get some response on it. But my bigger issue is, he ain't going to get a 15% down payment. So he's got to be conditioned that that's not going to happen. Or personally, I wouldn't touch it. If it's, let's say it's worth $469 and I put it on the market, man, that's $60-some-odd thousand that I got to get down before I make a nickel, and I just don't have any interest in that. So here's how my conversation is going to go. Let's say you're David. Ready? You're David. Okay, David, listen. If we can agree upon a price and the rest of the terms, I will do my best to get somebody in this house, but I tell you right now, I can't come anywhere close to your asking price for the down payment, and the reason is very simple. I get paid from the difference between what I can collect from my tenant buyer and what I have to pay you. And a 15% down would actually leave me with nothing and would be very difficult for me to get into the marketplace. So if you're absolutely requiring a 15%, I'm out. But if you would consider a much smaller down payment than that, then I'll go into my market and see what we can bring. And worst case, we don't find anybody. And if we find somebody, I'll bring them back and we'll have a discussion then. But you got to know that I'm not a nonprofit organization on purpose. My income comes from the buyer, and I generally raise the price enough to cover my cost, but I still have to be within the market, Mr. Seller, and I can tell you from experience that that's not marketable. So that's the gist of the conversation. And frankly, if that doesn't get their attention and they agree that they're not going to do it with 15% down, then I'm out, and I am out. And you're going to get a lot of those. Listeners, you're going to get a lot of those. You're going to get a lot of sellers that are unreasonable to the point that at least I don't feel like pushing a rope uphill with my nose. I'm looking for the low-hanging fruit, and that one certainly is not low-hanging fruit. And I know there are other gurus out there that I've trained that will tell you to go put it under contract, no matter what the terms are, but I simply don't agree with that philosophy. I want to know I got a good chance of getting out of it before I get in it, because we got better things to do. Got it?
Mm-hmm. And also one last thing, Ron. So let's say worst case, and I'm using the same lines that you're saying to market the house, and I'm still not getting, any buyers. Do you have any other
How can you do that when you
Craigslist?
can't even post a picture of the house, David?
I'm sorry?
How can you market a house when you can't even put a picture of it online?
Well, I'll just put like a random picture and just say, hey, I won't put an address or anything, and just say.
I understand, but still, you need 10 or 12 pictures on the page that you built to sell the house with. I don't see how you can do that if you don't have an actual house.
Okay.
I don't think you're giving your marketing efforts a fair chance, but I'll say it again. If you put it under contract, what's the worst case scenario? Nobody comes along, right? Then you're out. What do you got to lose? Until you really get committed to selling that particular house and have something to discuss and show, I don't think you can use that. What you're getting now is a fair gauge.
Mm-hmm. Got it. All right. Thanks, Ron.